Good morning, Marathon Cooking. We're going to be making a super nutritious, super carbohydrate dense, very flavorful coconut steel cut oats or steel cut oatmeal. Now, the main product you're going to need here is some steel cut oats. These are Whole Foods brand. Again, I am not sponsored by Whole Foods. However, these will set you back around $2, which for this giant can is really inexpensive. All steel cut oats are pretty inexpensive, and you're going to get 27 grams of carbohydrates per serving. We're going to make about 2 cups, which is around 8 servings. So that's going to be around 200 grams of carbohydrates. Also, as you note there, it's very fiber dense. It also has some protein, just really great stuff. Now, the problem with steel cut oats is they can taste very, very bland. So people often avoid this and they flavor it with a lot of things that just sort of, they're wasting their time. A lot of dairy, a lot of heavy dairy, a lot of basically raw refined sugar. In this case, I think we can really build the flavor with some unsweetened coconut milk, some coconut oil that'll help the individual kernels from sticking together, the individual pieces of oat from sticking together, and then some actual coconut butter, which is coconut meat that has been really whipped into a butter, and there's nothing actually in this besides coconut. There's no butter, there's no dairy, there's no nothing. So this is going to be vegan as well. Coconut oil. This is also called MCT coconut oil sometimes because it's made from medium chain triglycerides, which some people believe gives you an energy burst. Some people believe that it's good for your health. All I know is it gives a subtle coconut flavor, and instead of using olive oil in my oatmeal, I'm going to use some coconut oil. It probably does have some health benefits in comparison to other oils. However, it's not going to give you energy like carbohydrates will. And finally, coconut milk, just because it imparts a little subtle coconut flavor. Now, if you look on the back here, in almost all oatmeal that's steel cut, it's around 4-to-1 ratio of water to steel cut oats. So find it on yours. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start with 6-to-1, or rather than a 6-to-1, 6 cups and 2 cups of oats. So again, that's 6 cups of liquid, 2 cups of oats. So what that's going to mean is I'm going to do 4 cups of water, 2 cups of coconut milk for our 6 cups of liquid, and then I'm going to add my 2 cups of steel cut oats. Again, that's 4 cups of water, 2 cups of coconut milk, and 2 cups of steel cut oats. Now you're saying, why am I using less liquid than it says on the label? It's not 4-to-1. Instead, I'm doing 6-to-2, which is of course less. The reason why is really simple. I will add water as it cooks to make sure I get it the right consistency. You're going to need to taste this to make sure it's the texture you want. If you don't taste it and you just pour all the water in and you cook your oatmeal, it may end up being, and this is entirely possible, too watery, in which case you'll then have to remove the lid when you cook it and boil the water off, really slowly, making sure not to have the bottom layer of your oatmeal stick to the pan. That's very common, is if you don't stir it enough, when the water gets low, it will stick to the pan. And the first 20 minutes or so, you're not really going to need to do much, except just gentle stir. That's if you have it at a low heat and the lid on. That's after you brought it to the initial boil, as the recipe will say. Bring it to a boil, then bring it down. The first 20 minutes or so, you can kind of let it go. But once the liquid starts to reduce to almost nothing, then you have to stir it. Otherwise, it will stick to the bottom of your pan and eventually burn, which you do not want. Don't let that happen. As the liquid goes down and it's almost getting out, you need to taste your oatmeal. If your oatmeal isn't close to done, then you add another cup of water. When that another cup gets sucked into the oatmeal, if it's still not done, then you add another cup of water. But you don't want to be in a circumstance where your oatmeal is really watery and you have all that water. Now, So you need your coconut. Again, you can get by with maybe just 2 of these products. If you don't have coconut milk and you have coconut oil and coconut butter, you can use that. If you just have coconut oil and coconut milk, which is, by the way, the cheapest way to go, this whole thing, I'm only going to use around a tablespoon of this, use around a tablespoon of this, and then 2 cups of this. This and this are the least expensive products. The coconut butter is pretty expensive. You could skip it if you want. You're going to get a lot of the coconut flavor from these 2 anyhow, so that's entirely an option. And here is what our product looks like after 30 minutes. This is with the lid on. I've been cooking with the lid on. Very low. That's 2 out of 10 on my stove. And it's nice and thick. Again, I've had to stir it quite frequently, every probably 3 to 4 minutes over the last 10 minutes. And now I'm just going to leave it with the lid off for just a few minutes, just to let it thicken up a little bit. This is about done. But again, it might differ where you're at in the particular brand of oatmeal you buy. Never assume because a chef or an online channel says it's going to take you 30 minutes that it's going to take exactly 30 minutes. And again, I used less liquid and I kept the lid on instead of using more liquid and kept the lid off. I used a 3-to-1 ratio, which for me ended up at 6-to-2 to make a batch this size. It's going to last me over several days. I'm going to put some of it in the refrigerator and some of it in the freezer, and then of course some of it is going to be my breakfast this morning. But this is exactly what you want. This is about perfect. Again, 3-to-1 ratio, 1 cup of oats to 3 cups of liquid. And my 3 cups of liquid would be 1 cup of coconut milk and 2 cups of water. And it looks like it's got dairy in it. It looks like it's rich, but it's super healthy, super nutritious. Of course, you can always cut down the calorie content and keep the fiber content high by removing the coconut butter or the coconut oil. Here is the finished product. It's going to be a wonderful carbohydrate, energy-packed breakfast. There's a few different ways you could finish this. The easiest way is apple, banana, cut them up, smash them up, put it on top. I'm going to show you another video how to make what I call a power sauce, which is going to be a fruit-based sauce with a lot of carbohydrates in it. That's going to pack some sweetness. It's really going to bring out the flavor of everything. It's really going to just make it an amazing bowl. But if you're looking for something super easy, squeeze some honey on it.